Picture this. Thousands of people glued to their screens, not watching a movie, not binging a series, but literally staring at two letters slowly moving across a digital map. That's the power of Nicolandria. We're talking about Nic and Olandria from Love Island USA Season 7, the couple that turned a dating show into the most obsessed fandom on the internet. From their first kiss in the villa with Ace and Taylor watching, to Sierra's dramatic exit, to that insane weekend in New York that just went down, this love story has more plot twists than any scripted drama. The Nicolandria Nation doesn't just watch, they investigate, they manifest, and they absolutely lose their minds over every single move these two make. What you're about to hear is wild. Before we dive into this madness, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button. Trust me, you're going to want updates on this chaos because Nicolandria never stops delivering content. And neither do we. Plus, if you don't subscribe, the Come Here Cream Girls will find you. I'm not kidding. They have FBI-level detective skills.
Let's rewind to where it all started, because Nicolandria wasn't just a couple that formed naturally. This was a love story that the internet manifested into existence before Nic and Olandria even realized what was happening. Night 1 in the Love Island USA villa, and Olandria is making moves. She kissed Nic that first night, but she also kissed Ace and Taylor. Girl was doing her research, keeping her options open like any smart Islander should. But here's the thing. Despite that kiss, Olandria chose Taylor to couple up with. Meanwhile, Nic ended up with other girls, and on paper, it looked like they were just ships passing in the night. But America saw something they didn't. From the outside looking in, every single challenge, every conversation, every glance, it was obvious. There was this magnetic pull between them that neither could fully ignore, even when they were standing next to completely different people. The edits started flooding social media. Fans were cutting together every interaction, every smile, every time they picked each other in challenges despite being in separate couples. The Nicolandria Nation was born before Nicolandria even existed as a couple, and that's when things got interesting.
Belle A, Nic's coupling partner at one point, later revealed something that confirmed what everyone already suspected. Both Nic and Olandria had confessed to being interested in each other from day one. Day one! But instead of acting on it, they played it safe, stayed in their lanes, and tried to make other connections work. The villa has a way of making people second-guess their instincts, especially when there's pressure to couple up fast and avoid being vulnerable. So there they were, knowing they had chemistry, but doing absolutely nothing about it, while millions of people screamed at their screens in frustration. The blindfolded challenge became legendary. Without being able to see who they were touching, feeling, or connecting with, Nic and Olandria kept gravitating toward each other. It was like their bodies knew something their brains were still trying to deny. Fans went ballistic. The comment sections exploded. Everyone was manifesting, praying, begging for these two to wake up and realize what was right in front of them. But the villa had other plans.
Now let's talk about the painful middle section of this story, because it got messy. Nic's journey with Belle A started off decent enough, but then Sierra entered the picture, and things shifted. He ended up coupling with Sierra, and from the outside, it looked like maybe he was moving on from whatever spark he had with Olandria. But people who were paying attention noticed something. Nic had this wall up. He was friendly, he was respectful, but there was something missing. That raw, unfiltered connection just wasn't there, and viewers could feel it through the screen. Sierra later talked about how closed off Nic seemed, and honestly, it made sense. You can't fully invest in someone when your mind keeps wandering to someone else. The whole time Nic was with Sierra, his eyes would find Olandria across the villa. In challenges, he'd pick her. In conversations, he'd gravitate toward her. It was subtle, but it was constant, and the fans documented every single moment like they were building a case for court.
Meanwhile, Olandria was in her own complicated situation with Taylor. They had this slow burn thing going on that looked promising at first. Taylor's a good guy, and on paper, they made sense. But there was always this hesitation with Olandria, this feeling like she was trying to convince herself it was right, instead of just knowing it was right. The chemistry was there, but the fireworks weren't. Fans were divided. Some wanted her to make it work with Taylor because he genuinely seemed into her. Others were screaming for her to admit what everyone else already knew, that her real connection was with Nic. The frustrating part was watching them in challenges. Over and over again, they'd pick each other. They'd laugh together, have these intense conversations, and then walk away to go back to their respective partners like nothing happened. It was torture for the viewers who could see the potential so clearly. The Nicolandria fandom grew even stronger during this phase, not because the couple was thriving, but because the denial was so obvious it hurt. People started making edits with sad music, manifesting posts flooded timelines, and the hashtag took on a life of its own. Taylor later admitted something crucial. Nic had told him from the very beginning that he was attracted to Olandria. So even while coupled with other people, even while going through the motions, Nic was being honest about where his head was at. That's the kind of detail that makes you rethink everything you watched. He wasn't playing games or leading anyone on. He was just caught between doing what felt safe and taking a risk on something that could have blown up in his face. The villa does that to people. It makes you overthink everything.
Then came Casa Amor, a twist that breaks couples and creates chaos every single season. Both Nic and Olandria got dumped during Casa Amor, which should have been the end of their Love Island journey. They were out, done. The story was over before it even really began. Except the producers had a twist that nobody saw coming, and it changed absolutely everything. The SUV twist. Instead of just being sent home separately, Nic and Olandria were given an option. They could take a date together, away from the villa, away from Casa Amor, away from everyone else, just the two of them. And if they wanted, they could couple up and return to the villa together, or they could leave single. This was the moment the entire fandom had been waiting for since day one. No other couples. No pressure from other islanders, just Nic and Olandria finally forced to confront what had been building for weeks.
That date became iconic. Twinkle lights overhead, champagne in hand, and for the first time, they weren't holding back. The conversation flowed differently when there was nobody else around. They talked about everything they've been avoiding, all the glances and moments and what-ifs that had piled up. The connection that viewers had been seeing all along finally came to the surface, and it was everything people hoped it would be. And then came the kiss, the soul ties kiss that absolutely broke the internet. It wasn't just any kiss. It was the kind of kiss that confirmed every single theory, every edit, every manifesting post. The chemistry was undeniable. The passion was real. The Nicolandria Nation went into full meltdown mode. Social media crashed. Timelines were flooded. People were crying, screaming, celebrating like their own relationship had just become official. The edits that dropped after that kiss were next level. Fans had been waiting weeks for this moment, and it did not disappoint. They made the decision to couple up and return to the villa together. After all the denial, all the wrong couplings, all the frustration, Nicolandria was finally real. Or so everyone thought. Here's where things got complicated again, because apparently one perfect date and one legendary kiss weren't enough to seal the deal. When Nic and Olandria returned to the villa as a couple, something shifted. Olandria started pulling back. She told Nic that she didn't feel the romantic spark anymore. She wanted to be friends. Friends! After everything! After Casa Amor! After that kiss! After the entire internet had already planned their wedding! The Nicolandria Nation lost their minds, but not in a good way this time. Millions of people were screaming at their screens, trying to understand how Olandria could go from that level of connection to suddenly wanting to just be friends. It didn't make sense. The theories started flying.
Some people thought she was scared of being vulnerable. Others thought the pressure of returning to the villa and facing everyone made her second-guess everything. Whatever the reason, she put up a wall, and Nic respected it, even though you could see the confusion and hurt on his face.
To make matters worse, Cierra was still in the villa. The emotional reunion between Nic and Cierra hit differently now. He'd left to go on a date with Olandria, kissed her, coupled up with her, and come back. You could feel the tension. Cierra handled it with grace publicly, but you know that had to sting. And Nic was stuck in this weird position of being coupled with someone who suddenly just wanted to be friends, while his ex-coupling partner was right there watching everything unfold. Olandria, meanwhile, was still thinking about Taylor, even after Casa Amor, even after the date, even after choosing Nic. Her mind kept going back to what she had with Taylor, wondering if she'd made the right choice. For one entire week, Nic and Olandria existed in the villa as just friends, while the entire world watched in confusion and frustration. It was painful. The edits during this time were tragic. Sad music, slow-motion clips. People were genuinely upset. But here's the thing about Love Island. Just when you think the story is over, something happens that flips the entire narrative.
Everything changed when Cierra had to leave the villa. Old tweets resurfaced, offensive content that crossed lines, and the decision was made for her to exit. It was messy, it was public, and it was uncomfortable for everyone involved. But from a Nicolandria perspective, it meant Nic was suddenly single again with only 1 week left in the season. And guess who else was single at the exact same time? Olandria. The timing was too perfect. The universe, or the producers, or whatever force controls reality TV, had given them one final shot. And this time, they didn't waste it. Nic and Olandria finally coupled up for real. Not as a twist, not as a backup plan, but as a genuine choice with 1 week left to prove to everyone, including themselves, that this connection was worth it. Family Day hit differently for them. Nic's mom and sister came in, and it turns out they were full-blown Nicolandria ambassadors. They'd been watching from home, seeing everything the fans had been seeing, and they were completely on board. His family's approval meant everything, and you could see Olandria light up, knowing that the people who mattered most to Nic were rooting for them. That validation from his family was huge, especially after all the back and forth. Then came the fake baby challenge, and if you weren't already convinced these two were meant to be, watching them parent a fake child together would have done it. They were adorable, playful, natural. It was the first time in the villa where they both seemed completely comfortable and fully themselves around each other. No walls, no second guessing, just them being a couple and enjoying it. When the finale came around, Nic and Olandria placed second behind Amaya and Brian. Some fans were upset they didn't win, but honestly, second place felt right. They'd only been an official couple for a week. They'd spent most of the season in other couplings or in friendship limbo. Amaya and Brian had been solid from nearly the beginning, but the fact that Nicolandria came in second after only 1 week together showed just how powerful their connection was and how much the audience had been rooting for them all along. The real question everyone had was, what happens now? Because Love Island couples have a brutal track record. Most don't make it past a few months. The real world is a completely different test than the villa bubble. After the show ended, Nic and Olandria did something smart. They didn't rush. Despite the massive pressure from fans who wanted them to immediately make things official, move in together, and start planning a future, they took it slow. They were intentional about getting to know each other outside the villa, without cameras, producers, and dramatic twists forcing their hand every 5 seconds. They went on what fans called a vacation together. Just the two of them figuring out how they worked as a couple in the real world. No challenges, no recouplings, just normal relationship stuff, which was probably weird after spending weeks in such a chaotic environment. The update everyone was waiting for came during the reunion. Still no official label, still taking things slow, still together and going strong.
But then Nic did something that showed exactly how much he cared. He took Olandria to Europe. She'd always dreamed of traveling internationally, experiencing new cultures, and Nic made it happen for her. They went on hot air balloon dates. They explored new cities. He was intentional about creating moments that mattered to her, showing up in ways that proved this wasn't just a showman's for social media engagement. Olandria started talking about her soft girl era, and she credited Nic with helping her get there. For someone who'd always been independent and self-sufficient, allowing herself to be taken care of, to be vulnerable, to accept love without walls up, that was huge growth. Nic created space for her to just exist without pressure, and you could see the difference in how she carried herself. She was lighter, happier, more at peace.
The gestures kept coming. Thoughtful dates, surprise trips, little moments that showed he was paying attention to what made her feel valued. This wasn't performative romance for the cameras. This was genuine effort to build something real. Fans were eating it up, but more importantly, it seemed like Nic and Olandria were actually happy. Not perfect, not without challenges, but genuinely enjoying each other and building something at their own pace. The lack of an official label bothered some people, but honestly, who cares about labels when the actions speak louder? They were choosing each other every single day without needing a relationship status update to prove it. That's more meaningful than any Instagram official post could ever be.
Now we get to the weekend that just happened, because this story is still being written in real time. And what went down in New York was absolutely insane. Let me paint the picture of Nic's schedule leading up to the marathon. Greek Fest all night. We're talking dancing, drinking, celebrating with friends until the sun comes up. Most people would go home and sleep for 12 hours. Not Nic. He and the boys hopped on a private jet straight to New York City. Zero rest, zero marathon prep, just vibes and chaos. The entire Nicolandria Nation knew the New York City Marathon was happening, and they weren't just casually checking in. Thousands of people were glued to their screens, tracking bib number NV as it slowly moved through the course. People were doing TikTok lives watching 2 letters on a map. Let that sink in. Not watching actual footage, not even seeing him run, just watching letters move across a screen. And they were fully invested for hours. That's the level of obsession this community operates on.
Meanwhile, Olandria flew in the day of the race to meet him at the finish line. She tried to go incognito with a mask, sunglasses, and a hat, but come on. The Nicolandria Nation knows her walk, her height, her entire energy. And the fact that she was with Quan, who's basically become her bodyguard and bag carrier when Nic's not around, made it even more obvious. You can't hide from this fandom. They will find you. They will identify you. They have skills that should probably be concerning. Nic finished the marathon with a personal record time of 4 hours and 42 minutes, after zero training, after a full night of partying, after flying across the country. The man doesn't operate like normal humans. He just decides to do something and then does it, consequences and preparation be damned. The internet went wild. How does someone with zero marathon prep, running on beer and pizza, break their personal record? It doesn't make sense, but that's Nic.
After running 26.2 miles, what do? Go eat pizza, obviously, because why would you fill your body with anything responsible when you can just eat more pizza? Mick posted it on Snapchat. The whole crew out together, Greek Fest boys, friends from Florida, everyone celebrating. Then they went to a fancy restaurant where they were filming some elaborate dessert being prepared tableside. But of course, Nic being Nic, he zoomed in on some random guy's face who was staring at him. If you know, you know. Go check his Snapchat because it's hilarious. Later that night, they hit up Lucy's nightclub in Lower Manhattan, and that's where the photo that broke the internet appeared. A sign that read Nic and Olan versus the world. And honestly, that's exactly what it feels like. Despite how much love Nicolandria gets from their fandom, there's still so much hate floating around. Twitter is a war zone. People questioning their relationship, doubting their authenticity, bringing up old drama. But Nic and Olandria keep showing up together, keep choosing each other, keep proving that they're not going anywhere. The sign said it all. It's them and the Nicolandria Nation against everyone who doesn't get it, doesn't want to see it, or refuses to believe it. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful in a chaotic way. Hey, quick pause. If you're still watching, you're clearly invested in this story. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We cover all the Nicolandria updates, breakdowns, and drama as it happens. Plus, the algorithm will bless you. And honestly, you need all the blessings you can get if you're this deep in reality TV romance. Do it right now. I'll wait.
While Nic was literally running a marathon, something else equally important was happening: the Nicolandria Community Awards. This wasn't some small gathering. Over 3,000 people tuned in to watch fans present awards, celebrate the community, and recognize the people who'd been creating content, edits, and keeping the fandom alive. The production value was insane. The presenters were incredible. It felt like a legitimate award show, except it was all for a reality TV couple and their fandom. The wildest part? Nic checked in during the marathon to let everyone know he was watching. The man had just run 26.2 miles. He just reunited with Olandria after being apart. They're out exploring New York City, and yet he took the time to acknowledge the community awards to let the fans know he saw them, he appreciated them, and he was trying to catch parts of the stream. That's the kind of thing that makes this fandom so loyal. Nic and Olandria don't just tolerate their fans, they engage, they acknowledge, they show up.
Then there's Come Here Cream, which deserves its own documentary at this point. This group of fans operates on a different level. They're investigators. They're manifesting experts. They're chaos agents who will name everything after Olandria just because she commented on a post saying all the months would be named after her. So they took it literally and started naming everything Olandria. Every word, every concept, everything Olandria for hours. It was unhinged in the best way possible. One fan, Spicy Homo on TikTok, was actually in New York and managed to meet Olandria, Quan, Nic, and the whole crew right as Nic finished the marathon. He posted about meeting the Queen, and the community went ballistic. These moments where fans actually get to interact with Nic and Olandria in real life are rare and treasured. The edits that came from that weekend were next level. The excitement was through the roof. This community doesn't just watch from a distance, they're actively involved in every moment.
The detective work this fandom does is genuinely impressive. They track flights. They identify locations from background details in photos. They can tell you what restaurant Nic and Olandria are at based on the reflection in a wine glass. It's borderline scary, but it's also testament to how invested people are in this relationship. They want it to work. They want to see it thrive. And they're going to document every single second of the journey, whether Nic and Olandria like it or not. The community awards, the Come Here Cream chaos, the TikTok lives tracking map dots, all of it shows that Nicolandria isn't just a couple. It's a cultural moment. It's a movement. It's proof that reality TV can create something bigger than the show itself when the right people and the right story come together. Of course, it's not all love and support. There's drama that refuses to die, and it keeps circling back no matter how much time passes. Cierra's reaction to everything post-Villa has been a whole thing. She's made comments about Nic being a guy who never actually liked me, which is fair from her perspective. Nobody wants to feel like they were a placeholder or a second choice, but from the outside looking in, it was obvious that Nic's heart was always somewhere else. That doesn't make it hurt less for Cierra, but it does explain why things never fully clicked between them. The Halloween party situation added fuel to the fire. There was controversy around who showed up where, and tensions were high. Cierra attending events where Nic and Olandria were present created awkward moments that the internet dissected frame by frame. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's exactly the kind of drama that keeps people talking. Taylor's journey with accepting Nicolandria has been interesting to watch. At first, there was skepticism. He'd been with Olandria. He'd felt that connection. So watching her end up with someone else, especially someone she'd claimed to just want to be friends with, had to be confusing. But over time, Taylor came around. He showed support.
He acknowledged that sometimes things just don't work out the way you expect, and that's okay. His maturity about the whole situation earned him respect from fans, even those who were ride or die for Nicolandria. But the real battlefield is Twitter. That app is a minefield of opinions, hot takes, and straight-up hate. People questioning whether Nicolandria is real, people bringing up past drama, people analyzing every post, every photo, every interaction to find problems that might not even exist. It's exhausting, and it's constant. The supportive fans try to drown out the negativity, but it's always there, lurking in the background.
Nic and Olandria have handled the criticism pretty well, all things considered. They don't engage with every negative comment. They don't feel the need to prove themselves to people who've already made up their minds. They just keep living their lives, posting what they want, and letting their relationship speak for itself. That's probably the healthiest approach, but it doesn't stop the drama from existing. The pressure of being the internet's favorite couple is real. Everyone has opinions about what they should do, when they should make things official, how they should act. The expectations are sky high, and the scrutiny is intense. One wrong move, one misunderstood post, and the think pieces start flying. It's a lot to navigate, especially for two people who are still figuring out their relationship in real time. But here's the thing. The drama, the haters, the skeptics, they all just add to the narrative. Nic and Olandria against the world, remember? Every obstacle they overcome, every criticism they rise above, it just makes the fans who believe in them believe even harder. The controversy fuels the content. The chaos keeps people engaged. And as long as Nic and Olandria keep showing up for each other, the drama is just background noise.
So what is it about Nicolandria that created this level of obsession? Because plenty of couples come out of Love Island. Most fade into obscurity within months. But Nicolandria transcended the show in a way that few reality TV couples ever do. Part of it is the journey. The fact that they didn't get together immediately made people root for them harder. The denial, the wrong couplings, the friendship phase, all of it built anticipation. By the time they finally got together, the payoff felt earned. But it's more than just a good storyline. There's genuine chemistry between them that translates through the screen. When they look at each other, when they laugh together, when they're just existing in the same space, it feels real. Not performative, not forced. Just two people who genuinely enjoy each other's company and bring out good things in one another. That authenticity is rare, especially in reality TV where so much is manufactured for drama.
The community that formed around them is special too. It's not just passive viewers. It's active participants who create content, organize events, build genuine friendships with other fans. The Nicolandria Nation isn't just watching a couple, they're part of something bigger, a shared experience that brings people together from all over the world. That sense of belonging and collective investment makes every moment hit different. Nic and Olandria also engage with their fans in ways that make people feel seen. They acknowledge the edits. They show up to events when they can. They don't treat their supporters like they're annoying or invasive, even when the detective work gets intense. That mutual respect between the couple and the fandom creates a bond that goes beyond typical celebrity fan dynamics.
And honestly, they're just fun to watch. Nic's chaotic energy, balanced with Olandria's more grounded presence, creates entertaining moments. Whether he's zooming in on random people's faces, running marathons with zero prep, or making grand romantic gestures, there's never a dull moment. Olandria's soft girl era, her growth, her willingness to be vulnerable, it's all compelling content that people want to follow. The fact that they're building their relationship at their own pace, away from the pressure to be perfect or to fit into certain timelines, makes them relatable. They're not rushing to get engaged just because fans expect it. They're not pretending everything is always perfect. They're just two people figuring it out together. And that honesty is refreshing in a world where so much of social media is curated perfection.
So what's next for Nicolandria? Based on everything they've said, the plan is more downtime. More just existing together without the pressure of constant content or living up to expectations. They want to travel more, experience new things, and build their relationship foundation in private before sharing everything with the world. That's probably smart given how intense the spotlight has been since they left the villa. There's talk of potential projects together, but nothing confirmed. The fans would lose their minds over a YouTube channel or a podcast or literally anything that gives more access to their dynamic. But whether they choose to monetize their relationship or keep it mostly private is entirely up to them. They've already given so much of themselves to the public through Love Island and social media.
The Nicolandria Nation isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's growing. New fans discover them every day through edits and clips. The community continues to create content, organize events, and keep the momentum going even during quieter periods. As long as Nic and Olandria keep showing up for each other, their supporters will keep showing up for them. The bigger question is whether they can beat the reality TV curse. Most couples from these shows don't last. The transition from villa life to real world is brutal. Differences that seemed small under the bubble become major incompatibilities. The pressure from fans and critics becomes too much. People grow apart or realize they wanted different things. But Nic and Olandria seem committed to doing things differently, taking it slow, being intentional, not letting outside noise dictate their choices. If they make it, and that's a genuine if because relationships are unpredictable, they'll become one of the rare success stories, proof that reality TV romance can translate into something real and lasting. If they don't, the Nicolandria Nation will be heartbroken, but they'll always have the journey, the Casa Amor date, the soul ties kiss, the marathon weekend, all the moments that made this story worth following.
Here's what's wild about Nicolandria. This started as two people on a dating show who didn't even couple up until the very end. It could have been nothing. They could have left the villa, posted a few photos together, and faded away like most reality TV couples do. But instead, they sparked something bigger than themselves. A community, a movement, a cultural moment that transcended the show and became its own entity. The fans manifested this relationship into existence through sheer force of will and determination. They saw the chemistry before Nic and Olandria fully acknowledged it themselves. They created thousands of edits, organized community awards, tracked marathon routes, and built genuine friendships with other supporters. That level of investment and creativity is rare. It shows what happens when people connect over a shared story that resonates with them.
Nic and Olandria, for their part, have embraced it while also maintaining boundaries. They share enough to keep people engaged without sacrificing their entire privacy. They acknowledge their supporters without letting the pressure dictate their relationship timeline. They're learning how to navigate fame and scrutiny while still protecting what matters most, each other. The journey from day one in the villa to that Nic and Ollie versus the world sign in New York tells a complete story. Denial, separation, reunion, growth, commitment, chaos. Through all of it, they kept finding their way back to each other. Whether they last forever or eventually part ways, the story is already remarkable. They've already created something special that impacted thousands of people.
Reality TV gets dismissed as trash television, and often for good reason. But every once in a while, something real breaks through the manufactured drama. Something authentic happens that reminds you why these shows work when they work. Nicolandria is one of those moments. Two people who weren't supposed to be together, who took the long way around, who finally figured it out when it mattered most. The Nicolandria Nation will keep watching, keep creating, keep supporting, because that's what you do when you find a story worth investing in. And this story, with all its twists and turns and marathon weekends and community awards, is absolutely worth it. Before you go, one last thing.
Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on this journey. Because if there's one thing we know about Nicolandria, it's that the story is never boring, and it's definitely not over. New chapters are being written every single day, and you're going to want front row seats to whatever comes next. Plus, if you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly invested, so you might as well make it official. Subscribe. Do it. The Come Here Cream Girls are watching. Nicolandria Nation, we'll catch you in the next one.